Ooh. Alright, hi. Hi everyone, hello. Welcome back to Skyblock, where apparently we are starving to death. Grand. Great. That's just gravy. There's apparently water coming down from up there. Did I mean to do that? Probably not. But I did it anyway. Oh well. It looks cool. So today we are focusing on getting the sound on my computer turned down first of all. Jeez, I just about got deafened by that freaking chest. First of all, we're working on getting some... Okay, I need to change my settings. That's awful. Oh, video settings. That's not going to be in video settings. It's going to be in audio settings. Music and sounds. Ambient down to 50. Blocks down to 50. There we go. That'll be a little more manageable. Now I won't go deaf every time I open a chest. There we go. Alright, so today we were going to do something with... We should probably go after some food. But to do that, we need to make a mob grinder so we can have a... Well, first of all, we need to make a pickaxe so I don't lose all of my... So when I lose all of my stone, I don't have to get incredibly salty with myself. Because that's happened before. Everybody remembers that. I don't know. I probably said we were going to the nether when I was recording last time. It's been a long couple of weeks since I last recorded this, but what we're gonna actually do is we're gonna work on that mob grinder. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna leave one pickaxe in there. We're gonna take one with us, and we're gonna work on that mob grinder. We're gonna need torches, but we're gonna need food. We just need a lot of things today, and now we have apparently have frozen just everything, and that I figured. Oh no! Oh no! No! Sacre no! That's not good. That's not good. I don't speak the German, but that's not good. Ooh, there we go. Problem solved. For sure. It is definitely solved. We gotta wait for this here melon vine to grow since we don't have any. Okay, we're just gonna head into the nether actually. We're gonna just grab a couple of slabs and some kugel, and hopefully we didn't make any pigmen particularly mad. Did I write down those coordinates? I did not write down those coordinates before the episode has started, but because I am the smart. So maybe we're not actually going to the nether. We'll go to the nether next episode. We're gonna work on the mob grinder today because I was smart and forgot to prepare and write down those daddylgum coordinates where to build the bridge to get blaze men. Why do I keep saying blaze men? It's blaze men, like the phrase blaze men bothers me quite a bit actually. We're gonna make us some torches. We're gonna take this charcoal and we're gonna use it to make 8 more charcoal. And then we're gonna make a set of 8 sticks. We're gonna make us some torches because we're gonna need the mob grinder area to be lit up during the process of making the mob grinder, so we don't get just destroyed by mobs, you know. And also, like, I've been playing my casual world quite a bit, and I turned on what is it called? It's like I turned off mob griefing, like in such a way that like so that creeper explosions don't break blocks, but they still damage you. And I've been thinking about doing that here because like losing blocks on here just is atrocious and it takes forever. However, like losing health and dying is not as big of a deal. And when it comes to making a, I didn't start my timer because I'm a smart person, but that doesn't matter because it's a specific time. Anyway, what was I saying? I got distracted by my watch. Oh yeah, the mob grinder. Like the big thing about the mob grinder is like, I want it to be an experience farm as well. So I don't want all the mobs to immediately die as soon as they hit the ground, you know? Okay, we have 32 torches, so we're going to take 16 over there. And we're going to put the mob grinder all the way over by Arrakis. And we can't sprint, and we have like half a heart. Oh, this is going to get mighty interesting. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but a mob grinder has to be 24 blocks up for everything to not die. And even if I got that wrong, you know what we can do is we can just add another layer to where they fall. The chest is in the way. I'm sorry, Mr. Chest, but you're gonna have to come with me. Thank you. Yeah, in my casual world, I didn't move this Arrakis chest. I actually didn't block update poor Arrakis into oblivion either, but, you know. Okay, so we're going to have to keep track of how high up we go. 24 is 7, no, wait. 24 is 8 times 3, right? So we just got to make 8 sets of stairs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm really taking care to not die here. Oh, hey, the tree grew. Thank you so much, tree. That was good of you. Good job. Thank you so much. As for, like, what I have to tell today, you know, for, like, story time and all that whatnot, I got some stories, you know. You gotta have some stories for a Skyblock series, because that's how it goes. You can't just sit here and not talk, because Skyblock's inexorably boring by itself. You gotta have interesting stories and whatnot to tell. So this week's interesting story is the story of Kids Bop. Now, one person in particular who I know is probably watching this, you've already heard this story, so you're going to be bored. But for everyone else, for the benefit of everyone else out there, I'm going to tell this story. So, I'm watching Beard Bros the other day. I think they were playing Banjo-Kazooie, they were in the desert or something, and for some reason, heaven only knows, Alex brings up Kids Bop. And he's like, oh man, you gotta know your Kids Bop number, you know? The Kids Bop, the one Kids Bops that is your Kids Bop, because it has the most relevant songs to you on it. And I'm like, well, my Kids Bop is the 7th Kids Bop, because reasons. Like, I will explain the reasons. So I'll explain the reasons in a moment. But anyway, I was like, oh, my Kids Bop is Kids Bop 7, because reasons. I then proceed to go look it up because I'm like, oh, this CD is important to me because I like listen to it on repeat for forever. I wonder what songs are on it. So I go look it up, and the first couple songs on there, it was like a 10 song or 12 song CD, something like that. It was a really short one because you know, Kids Bop wasn't like a music industry thing at that point. It was like kind of just getting started, which is kind of funny because Let's Get It Started by the Black Eyed Peas was like the second song on the CD. But anyway, look up the track list. I'm like, oh, I remember this song, and I remember this song, and I remember this song very fondly. And then I look at like the 7th track on the CD, and I just have a moment of internal screaming. Now, the 7th track on the CD was Float On, originally by Modest Mouse. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, no. So, why the internal screaming happened was I have been catching up on all the music I missed over my short lifetime. Because, like, as a young kid, I listened to nothing but country music for 16 years and was actually a little bit of a snob about it in middle school, which is a shame because country music is not something you get to be snobby about. Like, it's just not. I was a big old snob. I thought I was allergic to autotune, and I don't like autotune still, but I have a little better tolerance for synth now. And, like, I was a dumb kid because I was like, oh, it's auto-tuned, when it's actually just synthesized music rather than a singer being auto-tuned. And anyway, so I'm okay, so young Michael plays that CD on repeat for several weeks because I had wheedled my mom into getting it after like a long while of like, Mom, I really want this CD. It seems so neat. And like, I had originally wanted the sixth Kids Bop. I couldn't tell you what possessed me to do that because I didn't even look up the track list for that one, but couldn't have told you what possessed me to want that particular Kids Bop. But so, and like my mom, like I was like, Mom, I want this Kids Bop CD, and then she was like, dude, this is entirely love songs. You do not need love songs in your life right now. You do not get this CD. So I was like, oh, okay. So then after much wheedling, I managed to have her get me the seventh one. I then proceeded to essentially burn every single song on that disc into my brain. Like, I have a very clear memory of sitting in a tent with a Discman and a set of headphones, just sitting there singing like it was just nobody's business. You know, I was trying to sing every part to the song, you know, like you do. You sing every part, and you sing the guitar part, and you make the drum noises, and that's how you do, you know. Well, okay, after that, you know, fast forward, well, I was like I was 7 at the time, because I remember getting all excited because it was Kids Bop 7, and I was like, oh, I'm 7! And that's actually part of how I convinced my mom was, you know, I'm 7, so it's Kid Bop 7. And, why did I eat that apple? That was dumb. Anyway, I convinced my mom and burned the CDs. It burned the CD. No, I didn't burn the CD. We got it legally. Because our internet was so bad we couldn't even dream of using LimeWire. Anyway, I burned the track list into my mind via repeated plays, and fast forward to, geez, I was 7 at the time. Numbers are hard. Let me think here for a second. It was my junior year of high school, right? And I would have been 16, 17 then. So fast forward circa 10 years, and I'm catching up on all the music I missed as a young child, right? So, how many layers are we up here? Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anyway, fast forward 10 years, and I'm catching up on all the music I missed. 6. Did I say 7 or 8? No, because 7 times 3 is 21, so it would have to be 8. And I would also not have to suck at this game. Did I bring I didn't bring a pickaxe. Well, anyway, fast forward 10 years, and I'm catching up on all the music I missed as a young child. Run across a little band called Modest Mouse. Actually via iHeartRadio, oddly enough, because there's another story, and it's the story behind my music video, which I've told a couple times already. But anyway, what I was saying is, so fast forward, I'm listening through some Modest Mouse albums, because I'm like, oh, hey, this band seems neat. I'm gonna give them a listen. And I get to their album, Good News for People Who Love Bad News, I believe is what it was. Good news for people who love bad news. It's a good album. And I'm like, oh man, this is a good album. And what was I saying? I was saying something important. So I get to this album, and I hear the song Float On, and it rings a very, very faint bell in my mind. I'm like, this song sounds really, really familiar. And I couldn't put my finger on why. And actually, Ocean Breathes Salty actually sounded more familiar than Float On, which is a little weird, because Float On was the one that was burned into my brain, not Ocean Breathes Salty. But anyway, fast forward to a couple weeks ago, and I remember this, and I'm like, oh God, no. I listened to this song as a child, and it was like the awful version, and I'm like having like an internal screaming crisis, because I'm like, oh God, oh God, oh God, it's gonna be so bad. Because like Kids Bop is bad. Kids Bop sounds awful. Like I have no room to be a music elitist at all, and you all know that because I've mentioned I like the band that did Wonderwall, and I like other music that is probably not that good unless you have a reason to like it. And so I have no room to be a music elitist, but everyone can agree that Kids Bop is just a bad time. It's so just cringy. 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait a minute, that's not right. That can't be right. I'm not at 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I am at 6. I just don't know how to count. 7. Anyway, everyone can. It's basically universally agreed upon that Kids Bop is just a cringy mess. And what was I saying? Oh yeah, I look up the Kids Bop version of Float On, expecting the worst, and just the opening chords start, and it's just pure distilled cringe. Like that's the only way I could describe it. Is just if you distill the feeling of ugh, and just make it into a song, it's just so bad. So like I was just like having this moment of, oh God, my entire childhood is a lie kind of thing. Like I know I'm exaggerating quite a bit, but that's basically what I was having, that moment of realization that something you loved as a child is not that good. For example, another thing that I thought was just supremely awesome as a child that is just okay as an adult. Well, adult relatively speaking, freshman in college. But anyway, like having that moment of I am entirely blinded by my nostalgia for this thing. Related is the Phantom of the Opera. Now I can hear like the opera nerd folk being incredibly mad at me right now because the Phantom of the Opera is this is a classic opera. This is good, and it is good. But the big thing that I'm like, all on about with the Phantom of the Opera was, as a child, I thought that the romance between, well, quote unquote romance between the Phantom and Christine was like the ultimate romance tale ever. And I thought it was just, I thought it was just the best. I thought it was an epitome of a relationship, and now looking back, I'm like, I was a very foolish and strange child. I mean, and don't get me wrong, it is a phenomenal play. I love the Phantom of the Opera to this day, but also, I've become to recognize, it's not a healthy relationship at all. Just no. Like that's the only way I can describe that, is no, it's not. And like my poor naive child self is just okay. Okay, we're gonna light this up. 1, 2, 3. Hang on, let's use the F3 menu here. And anyway, continuing my story. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No block light. Okay, cool. Anyway, continuing my story. Phantom of the Opera. It's a phenomenal musical. If you haven't listened to it ever, like you don't even have to watch it. Like there was a good movie of it. I cannot remember who it was by, but why I actually liked the Phantom of the Opera was because of this movie, and And anyway, what was I saying? Anyway, I just like that was another thing that like as a kid I just loved it and I just memorized it essentially. And I think it was like looking back, oddly enough, it was it was enough of a big deal to me that like it was formative in the way I sing almost. Speaking of the way I sing, my throat just sounds like it hates me right now because I haven't been drinking water. Anyway, it was almost formative in the way I sing because, you know, the Phantom of the Opera, like the Phantom himself, is what is the word I'm looking for? He's like a very baritone-esque, like, like it's not necessarily a baritone part. He gets very much up into a tenory range, but in addition to that, words are hard apparently, and in addition to that, like it's just the range for the part of the Phantom is just absurd if you look at it. Like you get down into some pretty low notes, and you also have to jump. There's considerable jumps in some of the parts, you know, and it was very formative in the way I sing that. In that I just kind of didn't care about, you know, this is where my range should end stereotypically as I was growing up, you know? So it led to me being like this. It not necessarily led to me being a base 2, that was mostly genetics, you know? Hang on, I'm going to take note of these coordinates here. 74. Yeah, 74 to. Anyway, it wasn't necessarily formative in me being a base 2, but it did inform my cavalier attitude about, you know, not minding if it's an odd range jump. And that led to me, that really did actually lead to me the way I used to perform soloistically, which is, you know, pretty high range. I mean, it's not like tenor-esque range of stuff, but it's pretty high baritone stuff. Like if you Google around, if you really want to look. What did I say that was? 74. So let's say so 74 to 118 is roughly 25. Sorry, I have to braining while talking is hard. 75 to 100 would be 25. So that add 15 to that is 30 plus 3, 4. So 34. Let's make it an even 35. And then make it a 35 by 35 platform. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. Okay, 35. Then we gotta torch it up. Give it a little torturino. And anyway, what was I saying? Oh, like I'm still now, like I'm slightly less cavalier about range now because I don't know, I kind of, well, in soloistically singing anyway, I, you know, just didn't sing soloistically for a long time. Just because, like, I didn't have the opportunity to, just kind of, you know, between college and high school. You know, I had that summer off, and I just didn't sing at all, despite being in school and doing, you know, classwork stuff. Hang on. Oh, I need to make this longer this way if I'm going to do that, because it'll be 35, 35, 35, so it's double 35. Okay, we're gonna go 35 this way. We're gonna go 25 this way because we don't have enough blocks, but we're gonna go. And anyway, but yeah, those are two things that were incredibly formative to me. You know, the Phantom of the Opera and that Kids Bop CD, which still makes me chuckle, actually. The first song on that CD was Pieces of Me, was the song, I believe. I don't remember who it was by. Probably the same girl that did Skater Boy. Just guessing off the top of my head, because that's just that person, I guess. And funny story about that person. So, oh, hey. Anyway, I was just oh-haying about lighting there. Funny story about that song. Young Michael, right? Circa the same time as that CD. I'm over at my cousin's house. We were in Kansas for some reason, I don't remember. And we were at my cousin's house. And they have an Xbox. And one of the games they had was one of those, like, karaoke video games. Let's hope none of those items fell off, or there's going to be a big old salt fest. Anyway, they had one of those karaoke games. I couldn't tell you what it is now, but it was one of those karaoke games. There were 100 of them back in the day, you know. And one of the songs in that game was Pieces of Me, and I got very, very good at singing that song because it was the only song I knew on that game that... The pickaxe has fallen off the side, hasn't it? Anyway, it was the only song that I knew on that game, so I got very, very familiar with that song over the week that we were there. And so did everyone else there. Poor people. Poor folk, they had to deal with me, you know, young child Michael, you know, super squeaky voice, singing that song over and over. And I mean, like, at the time I thought it was just the height of music. I thought it was the most poignant thing ever. Now I probably will look back on it and say, yeah, there's some cliche music there. But another story from that Kansas trip that I kind of, just a memory from that Kansas trip was they had a skating game, and most people would expect Tony Hawk's Pro Skater when you mention skating game in the 1990s and early 2000s, right? No, this was not Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Although I did have Tony Hawk's Pro Skater for my Game Boy Color at the time. And, although I guess I was playing it on the Game Boy Advance by that point. But anyway, back to what I was saying. It was not Tony Hawk's Pro Skater like most of you would expect. It was some Disney skating game. And it also had a bunch of, like, what would now be considered, like, classic ska music. And, like, at the time I turned up my nose at it because I was, you know, I didn't listen to that music. It was all, like, the soundtrack was all, like, classic ska, like, remixes. It wasn't actually classic ska, now that I think of it. It was all, like, ska-style remixes of Disney music, and it was weird. Like, thinking back, it's weird to think that that's a thing. But, what was I saying? I was saying something dreadfully important. Oh, yeah. There was that skating game that I logged a couple of hours on while I was there, too. And, like, to this day, I don't remember why we went to Kansas. I think it was just Mom wanted to see some because, you know, we had family down there at the time, and Mom just wanted to see her family members down there. And I think we just went. Or maybe there was like some graduation or something. Maybe it was like a high school graduation or something. I couldn't tell you. You could probably ask my mom and she'd probably know. But yeah, it's weird the things you remember. 'Cause like there's one more story from that Kansas trip. I had never seen The Wizard of Oz at that time. And on the way down, you know, I had this portable DVD player, which is bricked now for some reason. Like, I don't remember why it is bricked, but it's bricked now. We still have it at home, I think, but it's bricked, and I don't know why we keep it. But that portable DVD player, that was actually my way of watching Phantom of the Opera at the time. Because, like, we had what I now realize to be a ripped DVD of Phantom of the Opera that I got from my aunt. And I'm not gonna... I don't know. And it was like, at the time, I was like, oh, well, this DVD's a little weird. Oh, well, it plays fine. And now looking back, I'm like, yeah, they pirated that movie. You know, it's like you can just feel it. And you could tell. Like, it was very much like an artifact of the I can burn this onto a disc and I don't have to pay for it kind of thing. And you know, this DVD player, I had already logged a ton of hours on it, sitting in bed watching Phantom of the Opera. And, like, I found this really interesting bug with the DVD player that, like, when it runs out of battery, quote unquote, like, runs out of battery, it doesn't actually run out of battery, it just stops being able to show video. And that was no big deal with the Phantom of the Opera because it was a musical. So, like, it's very much an auditory experience. Like, you don't, I mean, like, I wouldn't say that it's unnecessary to, unnecessary, the visuals are unnecessary, I wouldn't say that. However, I would say that listening to the soundtrack of the musical now, like, I actually listened to the soundtrack of the musical on my way back from Europe. We flew out of Frankfurt, and I have a ton of Europe stories that I'm going to eventually tell on here, but that's for another episode. Speaking of things that are for another episode, it's been 25 minutes. We're just gonna expand the. Oh, we're gonna finish out that second half of the square over there, and then we're gonna. Oh yeah, we're gonna finish out the second half of the square, and then we're gonna call it good. But anyway, I was saying something about that portable DVD player. Oh yeah, the portable DVD player that had a bug that it would let you continue to play the audio from the DVD for like, I don't know, around 30 minutes after the video screen had conked out because it has no battery. And we need to put 10 blocks on this. Yeah, that's right. And anyway, the DVD player was also of great use to me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. That DVD player was also of great use to me on the way down to Kansas because I had watched Phantom of the Opera a lot on the way down there. I think we had enough time to watch it like twice. Like, I ran down the batteries on my Game Boy Advance, and then I was just like, well, batteries dead on Game Boy Advance. Time to watch Phantom of the Opera. Because I was a weird kid. Okay, so after this stack finishes, we need to add 11. Anyway, so then when we get down there, like, somebody had quoted the Wizard of Oz, and I was like, what do you mean? I don't get it. And my mom was like, you've never seen Wizard of Oz? And I'm like, no, I haven't. So then my mom and my aunt, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, my aunt and my mom went on a valiant quest to find the Wizard of Oz in Kansas, and they couldn't find it anywhere. It was funny. You know, they couldn't find the Wizard of Oz anywhere in Kansas, and it's like, what is going on? You can't find the Wizard of Oz in Kansas? It's kind of like the Field of Dreams in wherever the heck they filmed it in Iowa. I don't even remember. Like, I know they filmed it in Iowa, and I just don't remember where off the top of my head. It's like trying to find Field of Dreams in I think it's Fairfield, Iowa, or something like that. Because you can't. Like, we spent a ton of time trying to find Field of Dreams in that town, and we couldn't. Like, we had to go to, like, 12 Walmarts, and it was finally, like, on the very bottom of a shelf at this Walmart. Like, at the very bottom of a bargain bin. Like, you know, they used to have those huge bargain bins of DVDs. It was at the very, very bottom. Luckily, it was, like, one of those, like, it had slots in it. You know, it was like jail bars, kind of. And my brother was, like, 2 or 3 at the time. He was very young, and and he just, like, we recruited him to get the DVD out of there. Props to you, bro. Field of Dreams is a great movie. Anyway, back to the original story I was telling, they could not find Wizard of Oz anywhere. Like, they were wandering around in random stores. They were like, "Oh, you guys sell Wizard of Oz?" They're like, "No, no, no," you know, and it was probably like guys my age just working at the Walmart because they have to. Uh, and okay, I'm just gonna stand here and finish my story. And they like went on a valiant quest to find the Wizard of Oz because they didn't know that I had never seen it, and they just needed to correct that error. So it's like, it's weird. They couldn't find the Wizard of Oz in Kansas where it's set, and we couldn't find the Field of Dreams movie in the same town as Field of Dreams. Which, interestingly enough, like they sell the movie at the actual film site, like the baseball field with the corn in the back. You know, I don't know if that's even open anymore. I think like the original owners had to sell it. I don't know if it should be. It should be a, you know, landmark. It should be a place of historical significance. Field of Dreams is a great movie, and it's like one of like 3 movies ever that were filmed in Iowa. So, you know. But anyway, enough of me blithering and blathering. We're done with the episode for today. Thanks so much for tuning in this week for the Skyblock. I don't know what I'm going to do next week, but I know there's going to be Undertale next week. It's probably just going to be the same kind of thing that I'm already doing. It's probably going to be, you know, next week it's going to be Undertale and then Splatoon Amiibo, and then the week after that it'll be Undertale and this. But you never know. Something cool, something different might come up. Anyway, thanks for tuning in to Skyblock Storytime, and hey, later, man.